All right, your SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Fowler Buick GMC. Test drive a pre-owned or new GMC Sierra truck or GMC Yukon at Fowler Buick GMC, Brandon Pearl. Visit FowlerBuickGMC.com. We're live in the Bank Plus studio, out of bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel. We would love for you to subscribe. Search Out of Bounds Sports on YouTube, and you can watch the show. We're going to go to the Miller Lite guest line. Welcome in Chris Lemonis, Hail State baseball coach. Major League Baseball draft. First round this afternoon, and then rounds 2 through 5 tomorrow. So it's usually 40 rounds, and MLB has cut it down. We'll see what it looks like, next year and going forward. But I guess an intriguing day for college baseball coaches around the country. And, Coach, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Bo. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. So how many conversations have you had or you and your coaches had with guys like Blaze Jordan and Austin Hendrick or their parents, or how does that work, Coach?
Well, it's been a lot over the last probably couple weeks. Just not so much with the kids or parents. Like when you're an Austin Hendrick or a Blaze Jordan, we don't, if you go in the first round, usually you sign, So one of those, we're just trying to make sure they understand if they don't, they still have a great path here. And it's just, we've spent so much time talking to scouts, agents, players, whatever it might be, or advisors during these times because so much is going on. I had an opportunity to coach Team USA last summer, so I'm getting, scouting directors are calling and asking about Team USA players and our players and other players in the SEC. So it has been we've spent a lot of time on the phone, me, Coach Gautreaux, and Coach Fox over the last probably 2 or 3 weeks. Okay.
So it's just it's pretty simple. It's a wait and see, and for a Blaze Jordan or an Austin Hendrick, if they're not drafted today or tomorrow, then they'll be on your roster, and if they are, you'll just see how the negotiations play out.
Yeah, you know what? In this draft with 160 picks, I think if you see somebody drafted, they're going to sign. So there's not going to be a lot of Tanner Allen last year was drafted in the 28th round, and he coming back to school and decides to come back. You're not going to see a lot of that. It's going to be pretty much predetermined before the pick. So I think when you see a name go across, I'm not going to say everybody, but I'd say the bulk of them, they've already got an agreement and they're going to sign and be ready to go.
So do you have I'm sure you have an idea or an opinion as to where Jordan Hendrick could go or may not go, right?
I think so. I think they're both, Austin, everything you read is probably 12 to 20, is somewhere in there. And Blaze is probably a little bit more, probably 30 to 45 or somewhere in there. I think that's kind of what we're hearing. You just never know in this draft. And I think you may see some different stuff in this draft, and the fact that somebody may try to take somebody maybe a little lesser in the first round so they can pay more in other rounds. You're going to see people trying to work the money and have an angle and try to outthink it. So, you may be a third rounder and get first round money. I don't know, if they're trying to add an extra pick in here. So I could see some groups being creative, but, I think that's where our incoming guys fall. We had Kellum Clark this past week kind of took himself out of the draft. He was the other guy we were really worried about here. So we were really excited about that. We feel like Kellum has a chance to come in and be a star. And, just these big physical hitters. That's what we have is 3 of the best hitters in the country here. I think Baseball America ranked them by power, and Austin Hendrick was 1 and Blaze Jordan was 2, or it may have been vice versa. But, just some big power bats, and Kellum's right up there with those guys.
And, all right, Blake, do you have Chris Lemonis, Hail State baseball coach on the Miller Lite guest line. You're listening to ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Do you have a question for Chris?
Yeah, Coach, I was just going to say, piggybacking off what you said, you're losing most likely, barring craziness, 2 of the best power bats in the country, if not the SEC, in terms of both exit velocity and just home run power in Justin Foscue and Jordan Westberg. So how important is it, not necessarily to get those guys, like you said, who are potential first rounders, and that does not happen very often that they come into college. But how important is it to find more of that power bat mentality to put back into the lineup when you're losing guys like Westberg and Foscue up at the top?
Well, that's a big piece. That's what we've said on the whole time, just trying to, starting the year, we weren't sure we'd get any of them. Now we know Kellum's coming, and, we just don't know going in. But the power bat is huge. I mean, just those special type of hitters, and you look up and, you got to have, last year Vanderbilt won it with, J.J. Blade and Austin Martin's now a high pick. And you got to have great arms too. But, man, position players play every day. And in this game and in our league, that power back can, win a game in one swing. And we like to win games in a lot of different ways. And I really feel like when you look up at the SEC for the next couple of years, or college baseball as a whole, man, pitching is going to be really good because there's more players right now. And so, as you try to hand the ball off to maybe your eighth guy, now it's going to be a guy that's a little better than that across the board, across our league. I think the pitching you're going to see. So having the opportunity to have one big swing may be huge.
Chris Lemonis on the Out of Bounds show. So how does the 5 rounds impact a Rowdy Jordan or a Tanner Allen? This could actually play in your favor with the 5 rounds.
I guess. I feel bad. I know, we thought starting the year we were losing, Foscue, Westberg, but also Tanner, Rowdy, and Josh Hatcher. We thought, in a normal draft, all those guys are gone. And I'm not sure about Tanner. Tanner's sitting on the bubble a little bit. But I feel like Rowdy and Josh will probably get back. I don't think it's the end of the world because I feel like, they had this experience taken away from them. And I feel like those guys can come back here. They'll all graduate by next spring, play Mississippi State baseball. And, the state of baseball right now is really tough, especially if you're, a minor leaguer and not a first rounder. There's guys being released and everything else. They're not playing. It may be the best scenario for them and then go into next year's draft and be a good pick and get to do it all. Maybe they're the lucky ones, because I have kids all across the board. I've had some of my Indiana kids call me or whoever, and, man, they're getting released right now, a lot of these minor leaguers, because they're cutting down the minor leagues. And maybe it's the best – maybe the best thing for some of them if it works out.
Yeah, I think we're reading where maybe 42 minor league teams will be closed or taken out. So that will be, if Commissioner Manfred or Major League Baseball, Chris, if they decide that they want to add whatever it is, 15 rounds and make this a 20-round draft, are those things that y'all have talked about a lot, how this could look next year, 3 years, 4 years down the road?
Well, I think this has been coming before COVID, and the MLB office has talked about cutting some minor league teams, and I think it'll be 20 rounds next year, and I'm not sure where it goes from there. I just think they're trying to consolidate it a little bit, gotten a little bit big. I think it'll benefit college baseball, but I also think one reason they feel comfortable doing it is college baseball is preparing, kids for pro ball better than ever. And so Why not play here at Mississippi State in this facility against this competition, against the teams that we play against? And you can see, how many SEC guys or ACC guys are being drafted and put into, professional baseball. I just feel like the development piece at the college level is really high right now too. So they can lean on that a little bit more, and kids are a little more. I think if you drafted Justin Foscue here today, he's going to be pretty close being ready to play. It's not going to be like you used to have to take 5 years to get up. I think a guy like that, his experience is going to have him a little bit more ready to play than most.
So you wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Justin Foscue could get up in 2 years or so?
No, that wouldn't shock me at all. Ethan Small was on that track this year. I don't know now with everything being canceled, but Ethan Small was a guy I thought he'd pitch, and if he had success, you got to have success. But if he's having success, he could have got up there pretty quick. And I think the same thing for all these guys that you're seeing in our program.
Yeah. So how does this impact? I would think that fall ball at big time college baseball programs is always a challenge, but will it be even more so this year with COVID, with the scaled down Major League Baseball draft, with maybe some guys coming back that you didn't expect to come back, and maybe some signees, not Blaze and Austin, but some signees not going to the Major League
We'll
Baseball
have
draft?
some showing up. Yeah, you're right. It'll be I've already challenged our coaches, be ready for the curveballs. You're using a baseball term, but who knows what's in front of us, and we just still have to get our work in. And everybody else is facing the same challenges, but we'll probably have a good-sized roster just because of the dynamic of the draft and everything. We'll who knows when we can start or when we can get going. I'm just confident, and I heard John on your show yesterday, but, for us, we have an AD who was a coach also, so he kind of knows where we're all standing and is trying to get everything back and getting running normal. But, the one thing you'll see us do is we'll have to play a lot of games this fall, more games than ever, because we need innings, we need at-bats, we need to make up for what, all these other sports, it's affected everybody. But, baseball, we lost probably 40 games in the spring, but they play 50 more in the summer, So these kids in their development lost about 80, 90 ball games. And so that's something we're not going to be able to make that up in the fall, but, man, we have to get out and play. And so you may see us play 4 or 5 times a week in the fall and try to mix some, in our individual work, get our defensive fundamentals and things like that in, because, man, these kids need to play. We got some of them jumping out trying to play in some leagues right now.
Okay. Maybe the NCAA will allow y'all to play or practice more in the fall.
So I'm gonna stay away from those lines, Coach Polk. I'm just the NCAA. I don't see them. I mean, they got so much on their plate. We're not their highest sport, I don't think. So, as they're trying to get football ready and basketballs, I just don't know if they're gonna give us anything. I'd love it. I wish they would, but I just don't. I don't see us getting anything extra at this point.
Sure. So you do have some players trying to find leagues to play in around the country?
We do. There's a couple leagues playing around Mississippi, really. There's a couple leagues that have opened up, and there's one in Jackson, one in Meridian, one down on the coast. So kids are trying to jump in and play a little bit. We just got some kids spread out all over the country, and then your pitchers haven't pitched in 2 months. So, what do you do with your pitchers? So it's just kind of everybody's kind of at a different spot, but we're trying to get some playing and get some just working out and getting ready so that when we get back here in the fall, we're ready to go.
The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're visiting with Chris Lemonis, Hale State baseball coach. He joins us on the Miller Lite guest line. Have you ever had, not that you've just been hanging out, but you've never had this much downtime, probably since before college, because you're used to coaching 5 games a week sometimes, plus practice, plus managing recruiting and everything
Camp
else.
All summer. Yeah, and it's you know what, it kind of drove me crazy at first, and I know it drove my family crazy because they're not used to me being home. But I was talking to one of my buddies who coaches, and he just said, hey, screw it. I mean, it's the only time in our life that we're going to get a summer. We might as well try and enjoy it. So as soon as I hang up with you, we're hitting the golf course, and, I bought a new reel yesterday, so we're trying to fish and golf and do what we can and run the program. But, you can only do so much right now off a phone. So
right.
We're trying to enjoy it. Maybe it's a good reset for us, give us a little bit of time off. I can tell you this, it makes you miss it. So when you're in the middle of the grind, I'll always remember this time and be glad we get to do what we do because, our job's a lot of fun. I mean, hanging around the guys. I miss the camaraderie of the group, being in the ballpark, the excitement of this time of year. I mean, this is Omaha week. And, it's just a lot of fun. And we've missed all that, but we've taken it. We've tried to use it as our advantage. Coach Cheese has dropped his strokes about 9 during this break, so he was pretty high to start. But he's been playing. He's been beating all of us lately. So
oh man,
but it's some of the things that you get to do right now.
So how far back in the garage did you have to go to grab the clubs, Coach?
Yeah, they were pretty. It was more the fishing poles had cobwebs on them. I don't think I'd fished since the Citadel, so. Not a lot, so I had to pull those out, and I bought a couple new ones and enjoyed that. But the clubs, we swing a little bit here and there. Our staff likes to play a little bit, but it's been fun. I'm trying to get some lessons next week. I need some help.
Ooh, yeah. Well, so what about cooking? Anything fun in the kitchen the last 3 months?
Not really.
No.
You know what? I take that back. I with a couple buddies about a month ago, we cooked briskets for the first time. So that was my first time doing that.
Okay.
Being able to put, and so that was pretty good. That's the best one we've done to this point. We've just had we've been on the grill the whole time. So,
Yeah.
And then now it's, takeout. I guess we got tired of eating home. So we drive into the city once a day and get takeout. But besides that, it's been pretty boring.
Yeah. Yeah. We've hammered the grill. I have consumed more red meat than since March 10th. I mean, I already like it, but holy smokes. So
yeah, it's been, that's been us too. It's been everything out on the grill outside, which has been fun. But, one thing is you get to meet all your neighbors and hang out with your neighbors a little bit more. Because I've kind of pretty much just moved here. I've still only been here about a year and a half or so. And I leave early in the morning, come back late. So during this time, I've got to know everybody up and down my block in my neighborhood, which has been a pretty cool thing too. When you live in a small community like this, that's one of the best parts.
Chris Lemonis on the Out of Bounds show, Hail State baseball coach. Blake?
Yeah, Coach, not to break up the party, but just to get back to a little bit of sports. What's the plan? Have you talked to, obviously, JT again with his rehab and then a draft opportunity? Is there a trajectory where he could potentially pitch in a season next year if he were to come back to school? And what's the conversation you've had with him about that?
Most of my conversations with JT are just about his rehab and what he's doing, what he's going through, how's it going, how's his arm feel. His doctor has a protocol for him. I do think of where he had the surgery, he would have an opportunity to pitch next spring. It might be, late, and it might be in small spurts, but he would have an opportunity there. And then I think he has a great opportunity tonight or tomorrow, first thing in terms of this draft. I think in this day and age with, Tommy John, most of the guys in the big leagues look like they've had it. So he's had his, and it's out of the way. And then, he's in a situation where he can, jump out there and have success. But, his role would be different, obviously, and we'd follow all his protocol. It kind of comes from the doctors when you have something like this.
Does that mean that with the extra grad transfer year, the lineup looking forward is probably a Christian McLeod, Carlisle Kessler starting rotation?
You know what? It's going to be a real interesting one because we have Christian McLeod, we have Eric Sarantola. Will Bednar was jumping out there and really pitching well. Landon Sims is a freshman that we had pitching really well. But then you have Brandon Smith coming back. Brandon Smith would have been one of our weekend starters. He had Tommy John the fall, so he'll be 100% ready to go. He's going to be in that battle. And we have 3 or 4 arms coming in, I think, that we weren't sure we were going to get in a normal draft. So you're talking about a real high-end piece. And then we have we have a good junior college group of kids coming in too. So our pitching staff, we thought we were losing a lot. And when all those seniors came back, it's going to be a little crowded there. So guys will really have to compete and fight. I do think McLeod and I think Carlisle's in there, but I think there's going to be a lot of competition in there in that pitching staff.
Wow.
One of the better pitching staffs I think I've had in my career. So
that's saying something.
Still got to do it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Chris.
it is. It's just, we got more pitchers than we normally have too. You get, Spencer Price possibly is back, who was pitching like he did a couple years ago as a closer in Carlisle, and, Riley Self is back and different guys like that. So, and like I said, we have a couple of our high school kids who we thought were signing. We have a couple of the best high school arms in the country. They didn't even get to throw an inning in high school. So it's just hard to get that type of money that you're going to leave for when you don't pitch in your high school season. So, we have an opportunity that some of those guys will end up here on campus. So, it should be exciting.
Golly, if we thought the SEC was loaded, can you imagine what these rosters?
I keep telling our staff, hey, man, we feel really good about where we're at. And I said, so does everybody else. It's just more players across our league. So,
Chris Lemonis on the Out of Bounds show, Hail State baseball coach, joined us on the Miller Lite guest line. Coach, hit them straight. Hope you catch a big bass. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Coach. Chris Lemonis on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. So there you go, Blake. You were freaking out during that interview, and he feels like it could be one of the better or the best, they got to do it, but the best pitching staff that he's been a part of.
Yeah, I mean, pitching's good and all, but chicks dig the long ball. So
yeah, you were all about that.
Let's make sure we get some power hitters. That's all I'm saying, Coach. I think he's on track. Let me tell you something. If getting Kellum Clark is a big get, former Jackson Academy / Brandon baseball player, so local product too, which is always cool to have somebody who's from around here get to play at State or Ole Miss. That hits home probably more than a guy from another state, obviously. But then if you were to find a way, just somehow find a way to steal a Blaze Jordan or an Austin Hendrick,
I don't think that's happening.
I don't think so either, but a boy can dream. And I mean, Ole Miss has the same type of setups too. So it just, like you said, every school is going to have maybe spoiled for choice. It's going to make managing rosters interesting. Like, how do you decide who to pinch hit?
Extremely difficult.
Who do you bring in for what inning? How many do you pitch? How do you pitch this guy? How do you hit this guy?
There's just only so many spots in innings.
Yeah. And a guy like John Rice Plumlee, who's a two-sport athlete, right, to take it to Oxford, how much does this actually hurt him in baseball? Because now there's so many more guys on that roster who are practicing 24/7, 365 to steal his spot. Mm-hmm. Not throwing shade. Not that he's not working and practicing, but it just is gonna. It's not a normal baseball dynamic anymore. Now you just have more cooks in the kitchen trying to, earn that position.
So what you're saying is like an Ely and a Plumlee, to miss out on fall ball.
Is going to be big this year when you have so many more guys who could potentially take your opportunity.
Yeah.
Because they might, like Ely and Plumlee are good baseball players, but so are the dudes that Bianca's bringing in.
Sure they are.
So they're not shying away from an opportunity to compete and get playing time. So it'll be interesting. I didn't know Spencer Price and Riley Self were planning to come back. So that's going to be interesting.
And he said he feels good about Tanner Allen, Rowdy Jordan, and Josh Hatch. I mean, anything could happen.
Yeah. Allen was on the bubble.
Sure.
But we heard from Ben Sikowski, the Perfect Game National Scouting Supervisor, Monday, that he did not think Tanner Allen would fall inside that bubble.
Okay.
So just another viewpoint, so to speak.
And for our listeners, round 1's today, 2 through 5's tomorrow.
6 o'clock on ESPN.
Okay. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by RPT and Rick's Pro Truck. Their new location, Gluckstadt, Madison County. Spray and bed liners, lift kits, WeatherTech floor guards, you name it, they've got it. ricksprotruck.com. New retail location, Gluckstadt, Madison County. Great looking building. Great store. We were out there last year for a live remote. RPT, Lakeland Drive, and, of course, Gluckstadt, Madison County. Todd Sandridge and Trey Pace with Crosstown Builders built the new RPT Rick's Pro Truck store. They also have Superior Foundation. For all your foundation repairs, visit superior.ms. Superior Foundation for all your foundation repairs. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're rolling the cameras throughout the show. You can watch the show on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. We'd love for you to subscribe. Don't forget about our podcast on Apple Podcast. We'll be back for hour number 2 in a few. Joe DeMaio, SNY TV, New York Mets analyst, 8:30.